All right, welcome everybody to this nTop Live, where we're going to talk about the creation of a conformal sleep apnea mask. I'm pretty excited to be here talking to you about this one. I think it's pretty interesting. What you're looking at on screen is our end result. So this is what we're going to get. Where did we start? Well, let's take a look. What do we have? We have a facial scan from who I've been calling Chad for the past month or so when I've been developing this. And this facial scan, let's think about it. Maybe it was done with a professional scanner. Maybe it was done with one of those cell phone apps where, they scan their face. Either way, we have a scan of our patient's face, and that's what we're going to use to then turn this initial mask that we have into something more conformal, right? So Chad, he suffers from sleep apnea, and that can be very detrimental to one's health, and we don't want to have that happen. Maybe the current masks don't fit him very well. They're uncomfortable. He's struggling to fall asleep. Maybe he's not getting a good enough seal, so it's not performing as well as it could be. So our goal here is to be able to take his facial scan, or anyone's facial scan for that matter, line up the mask, be able to create a conformal piece here so that we have a good comfortable connection, a proper seal, so that everything is working as it should be. So what are the steps that I took to get there? Well, I narrowed in. I said, okay, the mask body, this part here, I'm not going to be changing. What I am going to change is this flange, right? This is the part that typically deforms to create the seal around one's face. So this is the part that I, zeroed in on, said, okay, that's what I'm going to, make a new part for. So with this in mind, right? I have the body, I have the face, I have it all lined up. How did I make it work? Well, what I did was a couple interesting little bits here where I took a cat edge, you can see here, and this is essentially the profile of the mask connection that we need. So I took this, turned it into a implicit body here with pretty much no thickness. But then I took that and turned it into a little mesh. And you can kind of see that mesh happening. It's not a pretty mesh, but it didn't need to be. And so I took that and I placed random points along this mesh. So now we have this profile laid out in this point orientation. So why did I do this? What can I do with these points? Well, we have a lot of control over our points. So what I was able to do was take them, translate them inside of this of Chad's face here, right? So I took them, did a little bit of work, a slight scaling, and translated them inside the face here. Now, why? The question is why, right? Well, what I wanted to be able to do was take these points, use this branched lattice here, and now I have this branched lattice that's happening. And if I apply a little bit of thickness to this branched lattice, I get this body. And it's not great, right? You have all of the cylinders overlapping essentially, so that's not fantastic. But if I apply a smoothened body, I get a nice result that is intersecting his face in a conformal manner. So how could I use this to create my design? Well, what I did was I went ahead and did a slight offset on Chad's face. And let me make this guy a different color for you. We'll take a look. So I did a slight offset here, just enough, just the thickness that I want this to be, which you can see here, my flange thickness is 1 millimeter. So nice and thin, 1 millimeter offset. And I intersect my nice geometry that I made with that face, that offset face, and I end with this really nice conformal part along his face. I call this, you can see here, my conformal flange, right? That is difficult part number one. But now I have this process that I can use to create the rest of the mask too. So I have this conformal part. This is what's actually going to be touching his face. So it's not going to need to deform large amounts. His face will take up any deformation we need to create a perfect seal. So what else can we do? Well, we can take those points again, and in a very similar way, I'm going to take points inside, points for connection, take these points, and with a slightly smaller diameter, I can do the same thing. So I can take this branch lattice trick and give it a little bit of thickness, but a much lower thickness, right? Because I have that part on his face. I need to be able to connect it back to this mask body. So that's what I'm working on doing now. So I have these new parts that connect to the flange on his face. I need to connect to the part. Doing the same trick, I'm going to smooth that out. Should have rendered that ahead of time, but that's all right. This is going to be smoothed out here. Same process here. And once it's done there, we can see, okay, we have that nice connecting here. It's mostly connecting here. So we're almost there. We almost have this nice conformal mask. And if we start going through the rest of the process, take that ridge, take off this body here. What I was able to do is convert this to an implicit, grab the connection region here. So now we have that part conforming to the face. And if you look at it with our conformal flange, okay, we're 2/3 of the way. The third thing we need to do is be able to, put this back on the mask, right? So what I then did was created a flange here as well. So we are all connecting together in this part, and that flange actually came from our mask body here. I took the inside CAD face and did a little work with it to turn it into a nice implicit we can use. And in the end, we're going to end up with this wonderful part here, this nice conformal sleep apnea mask. You could call it a gasket or the part that's actually going to be touching our face. We have this wonderfully conformal part. So now Chad is going to be able to sleep soundly at night. He doesn't have to worry about it being uncomfortable. He doesn't have to worry about any potential health problems. All that's going to be taken care of. And if we look at it, all together, we can see this is going to be a perfect conformal sleep apnea mask, CPAP mask for Chad to use. And if we take a section cut, we can see just how this is all fitting together here. So we have the nice, wonderful part roundly, smoothly transitioning into this other flange, and it's all going to be able to connect together. Now, I'm not a medical, device design expert. I'm very good with nTop platform. So what I'm showing you here is one potential way to make this happen. So is this the world's best design at this connection point? Maybe not, but this idea and this process can be taken with your expertise and taken to a realistic level. So what's the next step, right? What I want to be able to do is take this conformal sleep apnea mask and be able to do it for any customer I might have, anybody. Everyone should be able to sleep soundly at night. So my goal is to be able to have my patients scan their face, whether it's with their cell phone or they come in, they get scanned. I have their facial scan. I want nTop platform to take that scan in, give them my mask and just have it create this for every single person so I can go and print this out. That's my ideal business plan. Well, this was part one. I wanted to show you the creation of this conformal sleep apnea mask, which we went through, and it's a pretty interesting idea, a pretty robust workflow where we have things we can change, the flange thickness, the flange width, a little bit of scaling. We have all this control that is made in a very reusable way. So in the second part of this nTop Live, which will happen in a few weeks or a month or so, what I'm going to do is take this further so that I could use Python, maybe MATLAB, maybe Mode Frontier, and I'm going to automate this entire process for any facial scan I have. It's going to take that in, take my mask, create my conformal part here, and just give me my output automatically, right? I'm going to have a completely automated workflow. It's going to be completely hands-off. I did this design once. I'm not going to have to do it again. Now I'm going to be able to do it thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times without any additional effort. And that's my end goal. So this is what I wanted to show you guys today. I think it's a wonderful application, and I'm very excited to hear your questions and comments about this and show you part two once I get there and once I have that all the way created for you. So thank you very much for watching. I had a wonderful time presenting this for you guys, and tune back in shortly, right? Keep an eye out. Thank you.